Yuba-Sutter.LIVE's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
And can I have a pledge of allegiance, Mr. Seth Stephen, Vice President of the Board.
Please stand for the pledge. Salute, pledge.
Thank you. Please be seated. Item 2.1, reporting out announcements taken from the closed session on expulsions, EH 2526-33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. Board voted 6-1 to approve. On stipulated expulsions, item number EH 2526-38, the board voted a unanimous vote of 7-0 to approve. And also in closed session, excuse me, the board reported out in closed session a vote of 7-0, board approval of resolution number 202526/20, reassigning certificated employee to a lower certificated classification. Also reporting out in closed session a vote of 7-0, the board approved resolution number 202526/21, releasing and reassigning a certificated employee. Additionally, the board reported out in closed session a vote of 7-0, approving the resolution number 202526/22, releasing and reassigning a certificated employee. And finally, the board reported out in closed session a vote of 7-0 of approval. The board approved resolution number 202526/23, non-reelecting a certificated employee. Moving on to number 5, comments from board members. Mr. Frank Crawford. Mr. Gary Criddle. Mr. Seth Stephen. Mr. Oliver Taylor. Chong Yang. And Mr. Stephen Fuhr. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to recognitions.
All right. Cindy, you're going to embarrass you a little bit. Can I come to the podium? And then I'll walk down there. This way, at least you can use my microphone. So a couple of weeks ago at the this year's AXA Region 2 Awards, AXA is the Association of California School Administrators. I got it right. Region 2 is comprised of Colusa, Sutter, and Yuba counties. And they recognize one of our finest as Administrator of the Year. That's our Director of Business Services, and that's Cindy Helms. So it was a really good event, well attended by a number of districts, Yuba City, Wheatland, various districts throughout the area over at the 530 building. So very excited, well attended. We're very happy to have Cindy, happy to be able to recognize her for all her hard work and everything that she does. So again, it's an award that you are nominated by your peers who think very highly of you and are selected from the committee through AXA. So again, congratulations. Thank you for everything you do. And I'm going to walk down there with this plaque that we have for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Number 7, opportunity for employee organizations to address the board. Marysville Unified Teachers Association, Ms. Angela Stiegel.
Good evening. Angela Stiegel, President for Marysville Unified Teachers Association. I was just telling Tammy, I was like, I wonder what they'd say if I just say no. She was like, they'd probably applaud. But they'd probably be like, okay, we're out, meeting over. But I just have a few quick things this evening. One is, I want to extend congratulations also to Cindy. She does a lot of work throughout the DO, but she does a lot of work that directly impacts teachers and students, and that often goes unrecognized in her job and her job description. So thank you for everything you do for all of us, all the time. Also, a huge thank you out to the teachers. This is the kind of weather where everybody should be thanking teachers. Our snow, we had teachers up in the hills that have had to deal with snowy weather up there. Also rainy weather. Oh, that's always great fun, especially when you're an elementary school teacher. Hey, let's keep them all inside all day. It'll be great fun. But also sometimes too, we have some technology issues that come with the stormy weather. And so it's a lot of having to change things up on the fly and having to really adapt. The ever popular build the plane while you're flying it kind of thing going on. So I just want to make sure that I thank all of our teachers out there that are doing that minute by minute, day by day, all the time. And then one other big thank you that is another one that I think oftentimes goes overlooked and made me think of it because there's a guy sitting in the back that I think is on the agenda. But a huge thanks to transportation. I know especially when the weather gets like this, it makes their job very, very difficult, and talk about like having to adapt on the fly, especially when we get snow up in the hill. And we get messages out, the communication that's coming out to keep people informed of what's going on and keep our parents and our students know how their kids can get to school. There's a lot of moving mechanisms and moving parts back with transportation, and they help us out a whole lot. So thanks to Greg and his entire department. And then one other last thing is we have bargaining next week, and we hope we can continue to make progress in that department and hopefully get things settled up before the end of the year. That would be monumental. So thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Angela. Operating Engineers Local Number 3. California School Employees Association 326 and 648. AMACE. Supervisory Unit. Okay. Moving on to number 8, public comment. Persons wishing to address the board under public comments or a specific agenda item prior to the board taking action must complete a public comments card and place it in the basket. Speakers will be invited to the podium in order of the public comment cards were received. The public may address topics not on the agenda during this section of the agenda or ask to be heard during a specific agenda item. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker, 20 minutes total time for public input on each item per board bylaw 9323. Do we have any public comments tonight? We do not. Okay. Then moving on to superintendent updates, Superintendent Jordan Reeves.
Okay, I have a couple items. Last board meeting, we were able to recognize our spelling bee champions. This Thursday night at 5:30 over the government building here in Marysville. A number of those students, I think Bob might know, was it everyone that was here or is it top 4 from our spelling bee? Top 2 go. Top 2 will go on to county, so we'll have 4 students participating. They have the elementary competition as well as the middle school competition. So that'll be exciting. I know one of our students is a 2-time champion, so best of luck to him, but all 4 of the students will be competing. I'll be there watching. It's an amazing event. I think last year they probably had 18 words going back and forth before somebody finally, I guess for lack of a better term, I don't want to say disqualified, lost. But the words that our kids are able to spell are amazing. So that will be going on. Also a huge shout out to the Marysville High School boys basketball team. Friday night, we had the pleasure, myself and Seth, in a packed gym of hundreds of people. Our boys played Sutter High School and beat them 72-68 in the quarterfinal game to advance to CIF semifinals tomorrow in Stockton. They're playing Vitcher Academy. If our boys are able to win, they will play Saturday at the Golden One Arena in Sacramento. So good luck to Marysville's boys basketball team. It is the second time they have not the basketball team, but the boys program. Remember, wrestling defeated Sutter in the sectional championship. So 2-0 against Sutter in winter sports. So I'm sure that's not sitting very well with them. And one last announcement, Foothill Intermediate School, they have their production of Frozen, which will be Friday and Saturday. at 6 p.m. up at Foothill. Donation for admissions, $5 for adults, $3 for students. So if you want to see a good student performance and up the hill this Friday or Saturday. That's it.
Thank you, Superintendent Reeves. On to presentations. 10.1, presentation of the annual update to Local Control Accountability Plan, the LCAP. There to present is Assistant Superintendent Bob Epcart.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Cabinet members, and community out there. My name is Bob Eckert, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, and this is our summary of our mid-cap LCAP yearly update. So every year, the school district is required to provide an update to the board before February, providing public with an update on the implementation of our current LCAP, planning any changes that need to be made based on revised estimates, revenue, budgeted expenditures, or student performance, and then share the available mid-year outcome expenditure and implementation data for the current year. We don't have any revisions to the budget, so moving forward through there. Here what we have is our LCAP. We have 7 goals within our LCAP. Everything is revolving around the 8 priorities for the state. Just kind of going through it, goals 1 through 6 apply to all schools within the district. Goal 7 applies only to 4 schools. It is the equity multiplier, and that is based on schools with 55% or higher socioeconomically disadvantaged pupil rates, or they have a very high non-stability rate. In other words, their population is mobile, and those school sites are South Lyndhurst, Dobbins, Yuba-Feather, and Abraham Lincoln. So those schools, that is what specifically applies to that one. And you can see there, improving academic performance. We have a budget of $11 million, expenditures to date, about half that. Creating an environment that addresses physical, emotional safety needs. We have activities for that. Budgeted a little over $12 million, spending about half that to this point. Again, this is mid-year, so this is about what we would expect to see. Goal 3, preparing the pupils with the skills needed for college and career. Budgeted a little over 4, just under 5, and again, spending about half that. Building a system of support for our ELs, 1.8 million there, and we've spent a little more than half on that. Home to school relationships, same thing, about 2.3, about half that we've expenditured. Improving access to inclusion opportunities for special ed, and again, almost just under 3, and just about half that we've expensed up to this point. With the equity multiplier, the grand total was awarded $988,000, and the school sites have spent just a little under half of that. So for the LCAP schedule, this is kind of breaking down of where we're going to be throughout the year. This is very similar into years past. Right now, we're collecting data from the district survey. In March, we're going to start meeting with our educational partners. April, you can see that we're going to start completing the narratives and revisions required by the next year's LCAP. Then we're gathering feedback, and in June is when we do the presentation to the board. Once that gets approved in July, we then submit it to the county, and then once they approve it, it then goes to the state where we upload. The next section is really, it's the data, and this is 99.9% of this is based on the dashboard. Many of you have, this is not your first rodeo. You've seen it a lot of different times. And it's an interesting array of between colors and numbers and things of that nature. And sometimes the color can look good, but you still might get dinged for it. So in other words, you might be in the green, but you're not making forward progress. So that's really what this dashboard is about, is where are you with that forward progress? The dashboard itself, it's that main publishing report card for how are we doing in schools. Communicates how we're doing as a district, establishes standards and expectations, as set forth by the state, identifies groups and pupils specifically that may need extra support. And like I said, it does focus on the 8 state priorities, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, and also informs the annual budget and strategic planning process. So it is our report card, and right now we're just this is the mid-year, this is how we're doing thus far. So the 8 measures, you'll see on the left-hand side, there's actually 7 that are there. And those are your basic ones, your English, your math, chronic absenteeism, English learner or ELPI, English learner progress indicator, graduation, suspension, college and career readiness, and science. Those are what I'll call the 7 core. The 8th is local indicators. There's 5 local indicators that they'll use: basic conditions, academics, implementation of academic standards, school climate survey, parent involvement, family engagement, access to courses. So those 5 things make up that 8th standard, and that is sporadic in our LCAP, various goals. Within our demographics, the state has identified there's 14 student subgroups that are trackable, if you will. Say we want to take a look at these 14. You can see them there off on the left. Some of them are based on ethnicity. Some of them are based on language, socioeconomic, foster, homeless, students with disabilities. Within our district, we have all 14 subgroups. So not all schools have all the subgroups, but as a district as a whole, we have all 4. So some of the reports you'll see will be color-coded because it's a district, so we can report it for the district. You'll see other schools where it'll just be blank, and that's because they don't, that's gonna bug me. They don't have enough student population to warrant that. Sorry, squirrel. There are a few new things that's new for California for 2005. The one thing that you'll see on there is you'll see where it talks about criteria for differentiated assistance. So differentiated assistance basically means a district can get placed in differentiated assistance if 1 or more student group meets the criteria for support, or 2 or more state indicators on the dashboard, okay, such as ELA, math, graduation, suspension. So if as a whole those 2 are really low, then as a district we can get put into differentiated assistance. We are currently not, but I just wanted to make that explanation as we see. So for new this year, academic growth for grades 4 through 8, they track if you were a 4th grader going to 5th grade individually, did you make progress? I made progress, I gained, I lost on an individual basis. That's something that hasn't been present before. The California Science is now on the dashboard. It was on before, but it was not a qualifier, a qualifying subgroup for differentiated assistance. It is now. Updates for college and career. It now also includes the AP course completion and other changes to provide that broader access. So it's not just about, they're recognizing that AP can count both on the A through G side, it can also count on the CTE side. Standard teacher monitoring, we make sure and we submit to the state that all teachers are properly assigned, they have the appropriate credentials, and they're in the right placements, as well as they have added the assistance for long-term English learners and for the progress, the ELPI, that is new. And then CalPADS, the one for CalPADS, there are certain dates that we have to hit with various registration, we have to make sure we upload in certain times. That's now also considered an item that could put us into differentiation instruction. So basically, we have to hit our timelines for CalPads. So this is where I said it could be a little confusing. Most of you have probably seen this before. You'll see the dashboard, it's got all sorts of colors and, sometimes it's got numbers on there. And this is an example of, so if you look at the purple one that says increased, so they are yellow. So in the scheme of the dashboard, red is at the lowest, then you go orange, then you go red, then you go green, then you go blue. So in this case, school has yellow, which is low, but it shows that they have increased. And the reason why it can be an increase is even though that subgroup or that school for that area is low, they made progress towards basic standards. So in other words, they made gains in there. Conversely, you've got the other school that shows declined. However, they have only, they're in the green, so they're in the medium, so they're actually not bad, but their overall scores went down. They still stayed in the green, but they went back a little bit further from standards. So where do we sit? So if you look here within the dashboard, we have moved forward or stayed maintained in all of our areas. That's really huge. We have not done that in a very long time. And you'll see that overall, we are in the yellow, which is kind of that middle range. And then with graduation rate, we're actually in the green. We'll get down and break it down a little bit more specific here. So for English language arts, okay, we are in the yellow and we're 47.1 points below standards. So in other words, overall, we're close, but we're still a ways away from just being that, hey, this is where we expect students to be. And you can see the subgroups down below. In the area of red, the lowest subgroups we have, American Indian, English learner, long-term English learner, and then so on. Orange, which is a little bit higher, those subgroups there. And then yellow, which is the stronger group, socioeconomically disadvantaged, 2 or more races, or white. So it's broken down overall by district, and then within those subpopulations. That is for English. For math, we're 85.6. Math is one of our areas of greatest opportunity for growth. It's just an area that we've always focused on, and we're focusing on more. We've got a math adoption that's coming up, and that I think is going to lead to better instruction within the classroom, not because it makes the teachers better, but if we give them better tools and we give them the right training for those tools, they're the ones that are going to work the magic. And so this is that time to kind of make sure we give them the right tools with that. And again, you can see the subgroups below and where they fit. Science, 46 points above. So in science, there is the, hey, this is our norm. This is where we expect to see the standards. They're actually performing, and we are performing above in our science standards. So science is doing very, very well. Now from here, these next ones aren't about where it is towards standard, it's where we are in progress or overall completion. So with our English learner progress indicator, 45.3% made progress, which is an increase of 0.7 from last year. So we're going up, we're heading in the right direction. And interestingly enough, which is really good, our long-term English learners have had the most growth, which is indicating that what we are doing in our classrooms for ELD instruction is starting to pay off. We're starting to see, because that has always been our historically hard subgroup to move. We have a graduation rate of 88.7, which, we want everybody to graduate, of course, but this is a good number to be in. So the college and career indicator, this is an interesting one. This is like a Persian rug using yarn instead of fine thread. So there's 2 sides to it. There is prepared for college, CAS performance. So if you get a 3 or 4 on both English and math, boom, you're automatically ticked off as, or checked off as, you are prepared for college. If you take 2 or more AP exams and courses and pass them, you qualify. International Baccalaureate, college credit, students who take dual enrollment, 2 dual enrollment classes. Seal of Biliteracy, if they have the Seal of Biliteracy and get a 3 on the English or the math, that also indicates them as college and career ready. A through G requirements, along with positive CAS score or college credits or an AP exam or the completion of a CTE pathway. So that's the one side of it. The other side of it, which they can qualify as prepared, is the more career, the career side. If they complete, I believe it's 2 years within the military, junior ROTC, and have a 3 or a 4 on English and math, career technical education pathway that they complete it, plus they get on a 3 or a 4 on English or math. If they are in a registered pre-apprenticeship program, if they have state or federal jobs programs, or if they are students with IEPs, if they are on a work-based learning program. So in other words, it's an apprenticeship, a Workability 1 program, things of that nature. The CTE side of it, and I did skip over that, sorry about that. So for CTE, if they receive an industry certification, a recognized industry certification, within their pathway, they do qualify as college and career ready. This, for us, is one of the other areas that I feel that it's some low-hanging fruit. We have phenomenal CTE pathways. For example, our healthcare pathways. Students go through and complete the healthcare pathway. As long as we give them the CPR and they pass the CPR first aid, that qualifies. If they just take the test or if they just take the class, they're not going to qualify. That is embedded within our healthcare pathways, both at Lyndhurst High School and Marysville High School. The one area that we are working on, and College and Career has been working on, is OSHA 10 training. So for our ag classes, the welding classes, the construction classes, if they finish those pathways and if they have an OSHA 10 certification, that also qualifies them as checks the box for they are career ready. And that's an area that we're looking to bring in, and that can make a big difference with this. And it's more than just about test scores. It's really about sending the kids out ready to do that next step. It's not just, hey, this is what our dashboard said and isn't this neat? It's, are we really sending these kids out ready to do that next step? Are they ready for college? Can they do it? Are they ready for that industry they've been working on? And the more we can get these programs in place and we get these certifications in place, the better. And our college and career indicator, like to have this be really, really positive, but 27.2% are ready for college and career. Out of 100% of our graduates, 27.2 meet the criteria. This is where we really have some work to do. Okay? This is where we need to look at what do we have in place, how can we shore it up, what are the things that we can do, what are offerings, are there offerings out there that we can put into place to better prepare? Because according to what the state is talking about in terms of these are the things that are really important, and I would agree those things are important, we're falling a little bit short here. Actually, we're falling a lot short. So this is going to be a big area of focus for us. Chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism is going down, okay? So it decreased 3.8%. We're at 18.7%, and that's 10 or more days. And so that's moving in the right direction. Sometimes you want the numbers to get bigger, sometimes you want them to get smaller. This is one that we do want to get smaller, and it is. A 3.8% decrease is pretty significant. Our suspension rate also is going down. 5.5, it's decreased by 0.8. And that's always a good piece. There's a lot of things that go into this. Our PBIS programs that we've got in place, restorative justice, all of those other mechanisms, I think are making a difference. So this is the dashboard for all of the school sites. So what you see here, so if you look across, we'll just start with Anna McKinney. Actually, I'm not gonna go through them all, but you see ELA, they're at a 3, math, they're at a 2, so they're at a yellow in ELA, they're at an orange in math, yellow in science, and ELPI is a 3, kind of see, and then chronic absenteeism, the 2 in the middle, graduation and CCI, don't apply to anything but high schools, chronic absenteeism and suspension. So all of these scores overall are compiled for each school site. And then based on that, based on how they do, if there are areas of struggle, they can be placed in a category for improvement. The first category for improvement is, and you've probably heard it, is CSI. So in other words, that is comprehensive support and improvement, which basically means the whole school is struggling. Whatever the scores are, this whole school is struggling across a lot of subgroups, and they need significant help and intervention. The next one that schools can possibly be placed in is TSI, which is targeted support and improvement. That just means a specific group of students is struggling. Not all of them, like a specific group. Say you're homeless, students with disability, your English learners, whatever the case would be there. Then there's ATSI, additional targeted support and improvement. And that is where a specific group is struggling at the lowest level. In other words, they have been in the red and they continue to be in the red for at least 2 years in a row. This year, we had Yuba-Feather, Kynoch, they both exited ATSI. They were in ATSI, they put in the plans that they were putting in, and they are now out of ATSI. Marysville exited TSI. So those 3 schools were in improvement status, and they all exited it out. For this year, Covalad School entered the TSI status specifically for the subgroup of 2 or more races. So students that have been identified as 2 or more races were struggling on the CASP test. And so that has placed them in TSI. Yuba Gardens has stayed in ATSI status with the subgroups of homeless and 2 or more races. And then Lyndhurst High School has stayed in ATSI status with the subgroup of students with a disability. Okay, so those are the areas that are continuing to be where we need to look at and identify other strategies to assist those particular populations. This is a continuation of the school, sorry. We have Paragon on here, and you also see MCAA. We have oversight of those schools, so that's why they show up on our report. MCAA will have their separate report, but that's why Paragon shows up. So this is how we did overall. So this is the district as a whole, all the students, all those 14, and then those 14 subgroups. And you can see, once again, where I talked about, there's some areas that have scores because we have statistically enough students to where we can say, and others we don't. So like, for example, American Indian, Native Alaskan, there weren't enough students in that subgroup for graduation or CCI indicators, okay? Overall here, if I have to surmise it, we're performing at a mid-range across most dashboard indicators. Graduation remaining our strength, and at times, at the same time, we recognize that academic performance in ELA and math, it has to continue to rise, especially for the student groups that haven't experienced that level of success yet. We have to still keep working on that. We have had a very focused investment on early literacy through 3rd grade, and it's showing promising signs of impact. And that success is not accidental. It's a result of intentional strategy, strong instruction, and collective commitment. Now we're building on that momentum by expanding the targeted math support, strengthening English learners instruction, increasing intervention systems, and creating more opportunities for students to earn meaningful industry certifications through CTE pathways. We're also deepening the professional development, encouraging professional learning collaboration to aid in ensuring every classroom reflects high-quality standards and instruction. The short version, we are moving forward. We are showing growth, but we cannot and we will not settle for good enough, okay? Our students deserve excellence. We are committed to delivering it. Just because we're moving in the right direction doesn't mean we can take our foot off the gas. We've got a long way to go. It's a long road. So how did we perform in comparison with Yuba County in California? That's what these report cards are for, measuring us against somebody else, when we really need to be measuring ourselves against ourselves. But with the county, we're at the same level with the county, and we're just slightly below where California is performing. So if we compare ourselves with 18 similar districts, so districts of similar size, similar demographic populations, this is kind of where we sit with them. And again, this is kind of a good indicator to say, well, how are other people doing? But at the same time, we understand we're not where we want to be, and we're continuing to move forward. So the way to read this, for example, in English language arts, there's 3 levels that are doing better than us. Now, there may be a lot of schools that have the same standard as we do, but we are performing better than 14 other districts of similar size. For math, there are 17 other districts that are doing better than us in math. Science, kind of have the breakdown. Now, the chronic absenteeism rate, because remember, our chronic absenteeism rate is going down, so to be first is where you want to be. 17 other districts are actually performing worse than we are. So, and ours is declining, so we're doing pretty good there. Suspension rate, we're about in the middle. We've got room. English learners, we've got room. Graduation rate, we're, again, at 88%. We still have some room to go, but you can see where we fit. College and career, there are 12 other districts that are performing better than we are with college and career. And we know that going into it, that's one of our areas that we just need to address. Thank you.
Any questions for Superintendent Eckhart?
Can we go back to that last slide, please?
Yep.
Can you give me some clarity on math and chronic absentee? I thought you said there were in math specifically, there were 17 other districts that were performing better than us.
Correct.
And in chronic absenteeism, there were 17 districts doing worse than us.
Right. So with math, it's about how you performed on the test. So in other words, that measure, are you red, are you orange, are you yellow, are you green? So in other words, our math scores are lower. In fact, I think I can probably pull this up. There we go. Let's do that. You're offline, never mind. Can't do that. You know what? And now I've probably, if I lock this thing down, I broke your computer.
Yeah, because I'm also confused because then on the other one where you said we were 13, you said that there were 12 others that were better than us. And so I thought that it would function similar to math, and then it was completely opposite, so.
Right, so we'll get it, there we go. So when we talk about, when we talk about language arts, when we talk about academic curriculum, things that you're gonna test, language arts, math, science, those ones. We are talking about where do you score on that continuum of red being the lowest, then orange, then red. So in other words, if we rank in 4th, and I wish I could pull it up, but I can't because we're offline, it would show that we are I believe we're a 2. The other schools, we're a 3. Other schools there's only a handful of schools that have performed higher in English than we have, okay? Same thing no wait, hang on, now I'm getting myself confused. Who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third. Hang on, I really need that. Right. It does, because no, we're first. So in the absentee rate, this is the one so let me just clarify this one, and then we can go back to those other questions. So when I was able to pull this up when I was online, for the absenteeism rate, it's a score of 1 to 3, right? That's what they're counting it as. 3 being the best. We are a 3. Other schools, when you pull it up, and I can print that out and I'll get it out to you. The other schools for chronic absenteeism rate, what you'll see is some are 3s, first with us, and then others are 2s and 1s. They performed lower, okay, if that makes sense on that one. It'll be easier if I can actually just have this so that you can see this. So, Mr. Stemmen, I know you still had a question. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah. The math one. Yeah. Correct. Correct.
The hard part for this is when you look at the academics, they rank them like for improvement, best to worst. When you look at chronic absenteeism,
Yeah.
it's reverse. And so you have to mentally look at it and go, wait, this is different. This slide is correct, slide is right, but when you look at the data and the preceding slides, it's opposite. And so it's hard to decipher sometimes. You get lost in it. I get it. I've done it myself, so.
If I could pull it up, it would be easier to kind of walk it through, and I will provide you guys with that. Dr. Yang?
Yeah. Could you scroll over to the one that shows all of the different subgroups, which is
This one?
that one? Yeah. So when I was looking at, and I would like to thank this new format, because this new format clarifies being able to do comparative analysis against different groups. So I was looking at, for example, the Asian, and what I find that's interesting is that graduation, they're doing the best, but they have the worst chronic absenteeism, which goes against all education studies that shows if you're not at school, you shouldn't be graduating because you're not doing the work. So the only explanation was that if you scroll over to the school, what I notice is the high schools are missing the chronic absentee box. So is the chronic absentees only for K-8? Because they have a white box.
It is not, and that.
It's not an indicator for high schools.
Sorry, do you want?
No.
So in sitting at the State Board of Education as a high school teacher, I will tell you that is the most bizarre thing that I've ever heard them say in a meeting. I think part of it in their explanation is the fact that it is really hard to track chronic absenteeism at the high school level because of the fact that we have some students that are there 4 periods a day, but yet that makes them full-time because they have a half day. We have some students also that are in other programs. We have students who are also travelers because of ROP and stuff that are actually adults that are in our programs. And so chronic absenteeism, to try to track across 6 class periods or more, especially when you have some students, like with us sharing students between Marysville and Lyndhurst, that's going to totally skew our chronic absenteeism. We could end up having students then that would count both against Marysville and Lyndhurst, or maybe only count against one or the other when we have students who have like their ROP classes at one or the other. So that's why they actually do not have the indicator for the high schools at the state level. They have been told that there are high schools and districts that really, really want some type of information for that, but as of yet, they haven't been able to determine that. But I believe this summer, we're going to end up, as part of the study session on the dashboard update, I think that that's going to be something that's discussed. And so I will keep bugging them about it if it helps you at all. But yeah, it's not that it's missing. It's not that, Bob or his department missed it. It really is not an indicator, and for all those reasons.
Well, that's what I wanted to know was that didn't include, so chronic absenteeism is only K-8 then?
Yes.
Okay, so if you scroll back to that group, what that means is that when I'm looking at that chronic absenteeism, if I trust all of the education literature, it's a lagging indicator for graduation, right? Because we have a whole bunch of Asian kids between K-8 that are not attending school. So in 4 years, what we'll see is we'll start seeing their graduation rate decline.
right? Is that true?
That logic tracks, yes.
If I track that number. So for me, those are the disconcerting items. Other disconcerting items is that kids who are experiencing homelessness performs overall worse than, let's say, on par than African American kids, right? And they actually perform worse in some some indicators. But if we scroll back to the schools, something I did notice, which was quite interesting, was comparing Marysville's CCI versus Lyndhurst's CCI. Lyndhurst's CCI is 4, it's quite green. But Marysville's CCI is 2, which is quite the other direction. So if you scroll over through the calculation for CCI, I noticed that CAS is now included in for the CTE and for the seal of biliteracy. It's now harder to earn the 1 or more, right? So and if you go to the rubric, you get a green if you're improving, or you're maintaining, or you're improving a lot, right?
Right.
So where is Lyndhurst getting the green and Marysville getting the orange?
So my understanding of that is Lyndhurst High School has a larger number of completers, or of capstone classes, which is allowing for completers, because you can have multiple pathways, but if you don't have that capstone, they can take the class and everything's great, but they have to successfully finish at least the concentrator and the capstone. That is the one major area.
But the challenge for me is that they have to score high on the CAS also, right? So if you look at that, let's look at Prepare for College, and let's say that it is the coursework, right? Completing all the coursework in that pipeline. Let's say 6, completing A through G requirement.
Okay.
It's A through G plus CAS or college credit or AP or IB exam or CTE pathway, right? So
right.
I'm just trying to understand what part of that 6 in the college side did they do very well, or what part on the career side, the 1 through 5, that they did a lot better comparably to Marysville.
We can peel that back, and we can look to see what the very specifics were on that.
Because for me, the disparity between the 2 schools is quite wide, right? And I don't understand, looking at the scoring rubric, it's either that Lyndhurst did a very good job improving, or Lyndhurst overall is actually getting way more students who are prepared. And so that's why their CCI score is a 4. Right, because it was, when I looked at it over the weekend, it was immediate for me. I was like, whoa, what the heck? Why is it orange for Marysville and green for Lyndhurst? And so if you go back to the calculation, that means that one of those 11 criterias, Lyndhurst is doing something way better because they're getting more students, or they improve based on their previous years. And so I would be curious on what is happening in order to see that big of a disparity between the 2 comprehensive high schools.
We will dig into that.
Okay. Bob, stay on that page for just a second. So looking at this here under the grad rate there, and then go down one more page. Okay, please go back up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so it looks like the anomaly here with MCAA is at a 2. Eric, is that a reporting error? Okay. That would change a lot.
That does change a lot.
Okay. Thank you. And by the way, thank you for your great presentation. This is great. The way you presented it, you've got areas of strengths and areas of opportunity with specific strategies and goals, and really well, great job. Thank you. It's very informative.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Questions? Good. You're good. Thanks, Bob.
Appreciate that.
Next up, MCA Principal Eric Preston to present.
yes, thank you. Intermission, okay, sorry, you threw me on the intermission part. Good evening, members of the board, cabinet. My name is Eric Preston. I'm principal at Marysville Charter Academy for the Arts, and I am presenting a very similar presentation. However, Bob very thoroughly did a lot of the intro, so I am going to skip those with your permission and just go to the meat. So this is the 2025 results on the state indicators for MCAA. You will see that we have 3 green, 3 yellow, and 1 orange indicator on the dashboard. We'll talk about those, like Mr. Criddle asked about the graduation rate. One of the beautiful things about this program is it does show you how close you were if things were different. And so I'll be able to address some of these as we move on. Sorry, this is confusing me because it's a different screen down here. For English language arts, we were in the yellow. We were 28.5 points above standard. We increased 2.1 points. If we had increased 3 points, so a 0.9 difference, we would have been in the green. So we were like right there. If you'll notice, one thing too, Bob had mentioned before that there were 14, the state of California recognizes 14 trackable subgroups. And he said that in the district, you're gonna see all 14. At our school, you're gonna see 5. And in some, we don't have any. And so you'll see here in the green, our Hispanic subpop or socioeconomically disadvantaged subpop and our white subpop all were in the green. For math, we were 43.1 points below standard. We increased 1.4 from the year prior. If we had increased again, a total of 3 or 1.6 more, we would have been in the green. Solidly in yellow were again, those 3 big groups, Hispanic, socioeconomically disadvantaged, and white. And I think it's important, really quickly to note, for our site, we are 7 through 12, and so the state dashboard test results are based only on 7th grade, 8th grade, and 11th grade. So 9th graders don't test, 10th graders don't test. The only seniors that test are seniors who didn't test in science in 11th grade. And so it's only certain grade levels that make this up. For science, we were 59.2 points above standard with a decrease of 4.3 points the year prior. If we had increased 5.8 more, we would have been in the blue. Solidly in green, we had our Hispanic, socioeconomically disadvantaged, and white subpops. We do not have enough students in our EL population to give an indicator. If you don't have 30 or more students, they won't do it for fear that it will expose who those students are. Our graduation rate, as Mr. Criddle questioned, and I have been questioned by multiple people this year, is we had a coding error of 4 exchange students who were seniors, and they were listed, we put the wrong exit code in Aries, which instead of, I called and verified with Kenny Herr at Lyndhurst High School, I called and verified with Dan Joel at the district and IT, and we now know how to correctly label those students. But if that had not happened, we would have been in the blue, which is where we've been traditionally. For a college career, we were 77.6% ready. It's a decrease of 5.2% from the year prior. If we had had 2 more students been prepared for college and career, we would have been in blue. Solidly in blue in that group is socioeconomically disadvantaged. Chronic absenteeism, here's where it gets confusing because everywhere else you want to increase, chronic absenteeism you want to decrease. We decreased by 1.7%. If we had had 2 more kids not be chronically absent, we would have been in blue. Our white subpopulation was orange. Our our Hispanic subpopulation and socioeconomically disadvantaged subpopulation were solidly in green. Suspension rate, we had 1.3% suspended. We increased by 1.1%, so we dropped all the way down to yellow. We had been green, then we went to blue, then we went to yellow. We suspended, which is very rare for this school, we suspended 5 kids last year, and so it was like, it makes a big difference, obviously, on these numbers. If 3 fewer had been suspended, we would have been green. So 2 or more races were orange, socioeconomically disadvantaged and white were in the yellow, and Hispanic was in the blue. How we did in our student groups, if you look across, all of our students, the one anomaly, as Mr. Criddle mentioned, is the graduation rate. That really should have been a 5, darn it. But if you look across all of our students, the lowest score is a 3, making that correction. If you look at our Hispanic subpopulation, it's all 4s and 5s with the exception of math. If you look at our socioeconomically disadvantaged, it's all 4s and 5s with the exception of math and suspensions. If you look at 2 or more races, the only place it'll show is in the suspension rate, and that is not good. And then if you look at our white subpops, we drop down, that's the chronically absent, or chronic absenteeism is a 2, everything else is a 3 and a 4. Against the county, we are 3.3, not where we want to be. I think that if we honestly, if the graduation rate had been correct, I think we probably would have been, I don't know for sure, but I think we would have been a 3.4, which is state average. We definitely would like to exceed that, so that is not a, hey, we're almost there. It's a, hey, we need to get there. There are 255 schools in California, high schools. This is where it's weird for me because we are a 7-12, and so we have 7-8 stuff, we have 9-12 stuff, and they don't ever really give me just a, here's your middle school, here's your high school. They kind of mix it all up. So this is similar to our high school, but you have to keep in mind our high school has only about 250 students in the high school side because we have 150 in the middle school side. And so this comparison is not 100% accurate because it is not comparing middle school and high school. It's comparing high school to high school. But against 20 schools that are, 20 schools are similar to us with an enrollment below 500 and an unduplicated account or unduplicated rate between 40 and 65%. We ranked 8th in English language arts, 2nd in math, 3rd in science, 1st, finally a good one, in chronic absentee. 15th in suspension rate, not applicable for English learner progress, 13th in graduation rate. Again, I think that probably would have been in the top 4 if it had been corrected, and 6th in college and career. Okay, Bob did his a little bit differently. He started and he told me he was gonna do that, and I heard him and said, yeah, I'll do the same thing. But I had already submitted my slideshow and I didn't change it, and so now you get to see the money side. And mine, Bob was able to group his by each goal. I went ahead and spelled out each goal, so I won't read all of this to you. I'll just read the contributing ones if that's okay. And the color codes, green means it's complete or will be completed and funds will be expended. Yellow means it may not be completed and not all funds may be expended. Red, or it's really like a pink, brick red, will not be completed and funds will not be expended. We had allocated money for IXL, which is an online math support to help our students in Math 7, Math 8, and Math support students. We had allocated $10,000. It only cost $26.50. We are executing that. We've spent it. We're utilizing it. We've hired a retired retired special education teacher who specialized in math to push into math classes and help the students in the classrooms. We allocated $15,000. We are right at half of that right now because we were midpoint when this was pulled. It was the last week in January. After school tutoring and study hall with math as our priority, we allocated $28,000. Unfortunately, we have only expensed about a little over $5,000. The students aren't coming after school. We're trying to get them to come. Right now we offer math 3 days a week after school. We can't force them to come. We're encouraging them to come. We've got to figure out a way to make that more accessible for them. Paraeducators, we had allocated $55,000. We have only spent, the number in there is a budget code. I apologize. We did not expense any out of our LCAP monies for a paraeducator. Instead, what we did is we made an agreement. We used some of our 5305 program, which is the college I'm gonna mess up the name of it. It's college, huh? No, it's the other one. It's designed, what it's designed to do is to help students go to college and take college classes and whatnot. And so we are paying for a paraeducator for the early college program from our site to use that. And then he is finishing out his day with us, pushing into classes and helping students in classrooms. So we're utilizing it how it should be used, but it's funded differently. I did not put the amount up there because it is being funded from a program, not LCAP, if that makes sense. On to UWorld, we were looking at the possibility of doing some college prep. We had used this last year with some of our classes. Our teachers decided that they did not want to continue it this year, so the LCAP had already been written and adopted. We had allocated $2,000 for it. It's canceled. We did not purchase it. Moving on. Dance instructor, we had allocated $155,000. At one point I was asked this question last year when I made a presentation, and I can't remember who asked it, but they were like, that's a lot for a teacher. It is, but the teacher is teaching 8 classes. Our teachers teach 7 over there with 1 prep. This teacher's teaching without a prep, and it also includes all of the salary and everything else, or excuse me, all of the statutory fringe and benefits. So we have expensed $76,000, we're right on par. CTE and career pathways. This one, we had allocated $40,000. I'm excited about this because finally, and Jennifer knows because we had to go back and forth, and Ashley knows because she was involved in it. We were able to contract with Jamie Larson, the former director of college and career and CTE in our district. So Jamie is now working effective last week. She finally got to meet. PERS held us up for a while. She is meeting with our CTE teachers, and we are making sure that our CTE courses are exactly how they're supposed to be so that the teachers are covering everything so that we will be eligible and able to apply for a CTE incentive grant to make our program even stronger. So nothing has been expensed yet, but they just started, so we're working with Jamie on that, so I'm like looking forward to that. Study hall supplemental materials. We allocated $5,000. We actually ended up spending more. Not a bad thing. After school enrichment offerings, we started offering because we do not receive STARS ACES money. We started offering kind of our own in-house STARS program where we do different programs after school. We have art, we have bluegrass, we have ballet folklorico, we have sorry, of course, I'm drawing a blank now. We have had mariachi until that became a class. We have had, we had intro to Korean, just trying to provide enrichment opportunities for kids after school. Oh, we have piano, guitar, we have band, a whole bunch of things for kids that don't necessarily have that in their classes during the day, but want to extend, or kids that want to experience something before they really get a chance to take it. We have expensed $8,000, little over $8,000 so far. That is from supplies as well as salaries for teachers. Full-time counselor, we allocated $130,000. We have expensed a little bit more than half. Outreach consultants, we allocated $170,000. We have hit above that with the salary raises. We're gonna have to relook at our LCAP. And the final one is a social worker. We shared this year, we share a social worker with Olive First, and it's being paid. I don't know why I'm puzzled, sorry. I put a dollar amount for this one, even though it's being paid from a different program, and I didn't put it for the other, and that's why I'm like, why did I do that? This is being paid out of our, thank you, Learning Recovery Block Grant. And so that's a 3-year allocation that we will be able to continue this for 3 years. And we, like I said, we share her, we have her Monday, Tuesday, and every other Wednesday, basically, and Olive First has her every other Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So the status of our LCAP monies, here's where I did what Bob did, and I should have done it sooner, I apologize. Our goal 1 was to provide learning opportunities that result in increased academic achievement and ensure quality classroom instruction for all students, including support systems that meet the needs of targeted populations. We have seen slight improvements in math, ELA, and AP rates, solid improvements in A through G, a decline in science and graduation rates. We know why there was a decline in grad rates, though. And I can say, for science rates, in the last 2 years, our entire science program has overturned. And so we have had, this year, we have 3 intern science teachers. They're doing a bang-up job, but that is a little bit different than people who have had a little bit more breadth and depth of experience. Goal number 2 is to continue to support the visual and performing arts in order to engage students, expand artistic and academic opportunities, and develop career-related skills. We've had improvements in the CCI readiness, CTE VAPA enrollments, and after-school offerings. Our F-list, though, has increased rather than decreased. Number 3, we want to support students' health and well-being through SEL curriculum, personnel, and other actions. We've seen improvements in attendance, chronic absenteeism, dropout rate. The graduation rate plummeted, but we mislabeled for exchange students, which explains the drop. Our LCAP schedule is basically the same as Bob's was. The only difference is that we put in that we present to the board and then the board approves or gets approval from YCOE. So other than that, it's essentially this, essentially the same. And I think I deleted the questions. Do you have any questions? Sorry.
I just have one question about the clarification of the 4 students, exchange students. When I saw that, I was curious. I thought the grad rate calculation is based on their cohort, right? Meaning that when they come in at 9th grade, are they there for graduation at the end of their senior year?
Yes, right? And no.
Yes and no, okay.
Yes, it's one of those 2 that's slippery. I wish I could explain it. Like, I wish I could stand here as an expert and explain it to you. But I don't understand it fully either. But we did ask that question, and what we got is it's a yes and a no.
Okay. Because I would have thought that the state of California would say, hey, wait a minute, your cohort grew by 4 kids for that.
No, we know that one of the other students left us and went to another local school and then went to a private school, and private schools don't do this, and so we don't know if the kid graduated or not. There's no record. So we know that one counted against us for sure. Okay. But the others are these.
Oh, so even if you magically got more students in the cohort, the state doesn't flag it at all?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think they go that into it. I wish they did, but that's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, and so is there a way to fix this, or are we permanently stuck with that too?
For this year?
Yeah.
We cannot change it this year, but what'll happen is we know how to correctly flag them now. And so we have 2 students this year, they'll be correctly flagged, and we should be back up into the high 90s.
Well, I say that because it's grad rate, so they're not here anymore, right? So, so those 4 students are already out of the system. And so if we can't fix them, then, so is this like the Fresno Unified where they hired more teachers on paper than actually real, and they never fix that problem?
That's a good question. I don't know. One's in Azerbaijan, one's in Turkey, one's in France, and one's in Germany.
So it's a permanent problem for us then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Eric, how many special ed students do you have enrolled?
That's a tough question. I think we are roughly at 26. I know
How many? Good.
I know our teacher is close to cap, but our special ed students are not typical special ed students in that we do not offer like an STC type program, and most of them are RSP or kind of on watch. So
I know you had a dancer that was a special ed a couple years back.
Yeah,
beautiful young lady. Yeah.
We have. It's getting more and more, I hate this word because it's such a cliche word, sorry, but it's true. We have a more and more robust program developing. We have a full-time sped teacher now with a full-time para, a part-time para, and then for the first time we have a one-on-one para because we have a student with Downs this year. And so we have a lot of our students who are on IEPs often because they're on the spectrum and they need help with, they're fine academically, they need help with executive functioning. And so there's a whole lot of case management and a lot of trying to help figure out how can we help you access everything that you can because we know you can. And so it's changing. Like this morning at our staff meeting, our special ed teacher is working on her PhD right now. And so she was able to provide a 25-minute kind of mini lesson on executive functioning for our teachers to kind of say, hey, these are the kinds of things you can do on a daily to help these kids. And not just special education kids, but like every kid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we go back to one of your first slides you showed us? And if I remember correctly, I believe it said your site has roughly 77% are socioeconomically disadvantaged. Is that correct? Did I see that correctly?
I don't, no, we are not that high. So I think what it might have been is it might have been the slide, this one that said we were 77.6% of our students were college and career ready, and the subpopulation of socioeconomically disadvantaged was in the blue. So they were solid. Okay. Yeah, no, we are, I think we're right about 48%.
48.
Free and reduced.
Okay, so
I know that we're not as high as I thought we were.
Okay, so does that category, does it ever double dip? So my question is, how do they determine the socioeconomically disadvantaged? So the other categories where it's just listed by race, are none of those students socioeconomically disadvantaged?
Yes, they are. They do.
So how do you determine which category they fall into then?
My best guess is that they put them under both. They put them under both. Like they would put, if you have a white student who is socioeconomically disadvantaged, they're going to show in both. If you have an Hispanic student who is socioeconomically disadvantaged, they're going to show in both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that where they count them as the 2 or more races? Where do you get that?
2 or more races would be if you have a student who is mixed ethnicity, like you have a student who has an African-American parent, a white parent, a Hispanic parent, an Asian parent, they're gonna count as 2 or more, not the socioeconomically. Yeah, because they could be 2 or more races and socioeconomically disadvantaged. Yeah. Yeah, these categorizations all come from how the families report their children. And so it's not like we do hey, we have this, you know what I mean? Like yeah. So the accuracy of some of this, there are students that I know, when I look in Aries, I know for sure they are not what they're listed as, but it's not my, you know what I mean? It's the family reports. Yeah.
I was just gonna hop on to Oliver's question. I know that for the colleges, we have to follow IPEDS, and IPEDS, ethnic and racial categories, is a 2-part question test. It's not self-declared. So when we're talking about 2 or more, are we talking about using the IPEDS declaration, which is that it's Hispanic first? The first question is, are you Hispanic of any kind? And if you're 2 or more, but one of them is Hispanic, you're automatically coded as Hispanic? That is the IPEDS standard for higher ed.
I have not heard that standard.
Are you using the IPEDS standard?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that they do get asked on certain paperwork, the parents do, if you recognize Hispanic or Latino, or I'm trying to think what the other one is. Sorry, it's been a while since I've looked at that. No, to the best of my knowledge, we do not follow that. It's self-declared by the family.
So it's self-declared.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm the last guy to get questions. Page 25, please.
Yes.
I know that CCE and the CCI index is one of your top goals, number 2. You've got 40 grand. We've got 3 months left. I know that there's a plan in place. I don't know specifics of that, and I thought maybe if you could maybe share what that might be, because I don't know if that's going to affect a positive, and I'm trying to be positive, to affect it positively in that amount of time. So is it possible that we may see still an area that's has an increase for next year on the dashboard?
Yes, I hope so. The plan is right now, what we're looking is we've identified the 11 courses that we have that are CTE identified. We're identifying what the concentrators are, what the capstones are, whether the teacher is CTE credentialed or not, which they all are. And then we're looking at what the requirements are through the, I can't remember the pamphlet, but there's a book that the state of California, CDE puts out that has all of the CTE course codes and the requirements and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like reading.
Yes.
Yes, alien language.
So we're looking at that and making sure that the courses that we offer, because pretty much every one of our courses is arts and music related. And so we're making sure that it doesn't just, we're not doing it as CTE in name. We want it to match what's in there. And so then Jamie is helping us with her depth of experience in the CTE world, is bringing in the model classrooms, all those types of things. So she will sit with the teachers and say, I'd like to see your syllabus. So they're all gonna share their syllabi. We're gonna look at what the assignments are, make sure they have an opportunity to bring in outside speakers from the experts. Also, Bob had talked earlier about certifications and whatnot. Right now, we only have one class that I'm aware of where students can get certifications, and that is the theater tech class. They take an industry standard exam that they can then get a, excuse me, a certificate that they can take out. 2 years ago, we had 3 students take that and pass it. We have a new teacher in that program. He's in his 2nd year this year, so we're hoping he'll get a couple kids to take that. But long story short, we want to try to find ways to do that in our other classes. If there's a way to do it for our drama students, for our music students, for our dance students, to see if there's some kind of industry standard certification, and then go after those. Yeah.
Eric, thank you for explaining that. That's great, and great job. You've done really a great job at getting the school and keeping those numbers, et cetera. And sorry we had some glitches on there, but I know you're doing great stuff.
We're trying. It's easy when you have good staff, good support, and good families. So yeah, makes my job a whole lot easier.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.
Moving on to Superintendent 11.1, approval of the February 10th, 2026 board meeting minutes. Board, are there any noted corrections? And if not, do I have a motion to approve? Oliver Taylor with a motion, and do I have a second? Mr. Crawford, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. 11.2, approval of the consent agenda items. We will now approve the consent agenda items 13.1 through 15.1, excluding item number 13.5. Is there any item that the board would like to pull for further clarification? If not, can I get a motion to approve? Mr. Crawford, and a second. Mrs. Steeman, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. New business ed services, approval of revisions to a board policy exhibit 6145.2, athletic competition E1 and E2.
So I'm going to take this one and the next one, if that's okay. This one is a revision of a current exhibit to align with the practices through athletics at both of the high schools. We had them collaborate and make sure things like the criteria was you can be ineligible due to use of vapes, and vapes weren't mentioned in the policies. All the track changes are in there for you to review. Also to make sure that the athletic eligibility requirements were the same across both schools.
Does the board have any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, can I get a motion to approve? I got a motion from Mr. Crawford. How about a second? Yang, thank you. All in favor? Opposed?
Motion carries. 18.1, this is the, to approve the job description and position of nutritional services procurement specialist.
Yes, thank you. So Director Amber Green's here for if you guys have questions that I can't answer of a food nature. She'll be here to support us with that. The food services budget, as you can recall, is a self-sustainable budget outside, separate from the general fund. A procurement specialist is needed due to this level of scratch cooking we're doing. Purchasing has become a specialized field in food services. Working with vendors, making sure we're getting the best price for locally sourced foods. There's ever increasing federal procurement regulations that are, lots of tape and red tape in food services, and increased ability is needed to purchase locally sourced foods. And so this person would be in charge of procuring and purchasing and resourcing all the local foods to make sure that we are doing that to the best of our ability. I didn't say that really well, so Amber's probably going to step in. I'm good? Did I say that good? It was good.
Hi, Amber.
Except the last one. Last one wasn't great, but the rest of it was right on. Any questions about that Amber can answer?
You're doing a great job, Amber.
Food services.
Did you say it was a separate budget?
Yeah, so separate budget, it's the cafeteria fund, which is separate from the general fund. And this is an OE3 position, and OE3 got behind it because Amber was extremely great at communicating with them. And we negotiated the job description probably the quickest I've ever done with them, because Amber was organized and addressed all their questions and concerns.
Does the board have any additional questions?
I just have one specific. I saw in the job description that we're going to use this position to try to get away from ultra-processed foods. Can you give me some example of that?
Yes, so ultra-processed foods, there's a new state bill actually that's making schools reduce and eliminate the ultra-processed ingredients. So it's not going to eliminate like types of foods, it's going to eliminate ingredients. And so with our progression to scratch cooking, it will help us do that, and sourcing more local whole ingredients is going to help us do that as well. It takes time. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
What's on the menu at Kynoch tomorrow?
All about the food, Frank.
I have a really great team that handles all that, so it's a little bit out of my head.
Okay. Any other questions? Good. All right, with that, can I get a motion to approve? Mr. Fear, and a second for Mr. Crawford. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
19.1, approve the 2025-26 Transportation Services Plan for Marysville Joint Unified School District. Mr. Greg Taylor, welcome.
All right, thank you, board and superintendent, for having me. I appreciate it. On the agenda item, I'm going to read just the first couple sentences of the background of this. As a condition of receiving apportionments under section 41.850.1, a local education agency shall develop a plan describing the transportation services it will offer to its pupils and how it will prioritize planned transportation services for pupils in transitional kindergarten and any grades 1 through 6, inclusive and pupils who are low income. So that is what we do. This is just a renewal that we do each year. We have been doing this since the 22-23 year. The formula starts at 60% of home-to-school expenditures from the previous year. That amount is $2,785,832, and we request that you approve this.
Questions for Mr. Taylor?
I noticed, because this is a repeat of last year in consultation, there was 3 consultations. The first one is in 21-22. The second one is in fall 22, and the third one has no date. But that was with Abroga and a bunch of administrators from different local education authorities. The question is that last year we moved some route around, and so there was some parent uproar about those routes. So did we do any consultations in between these 3? I'm assuming that the Abroga one isn't current as well, right? Okay, so did we do any additional consultations in between, just because it's not noted there, so I'm assuming that there was no additional consultations?
Not with Arboga, but I do need to add a route with Arboga. Arboga is...
Well, I'm not talking specifically about Arboga because a lot of the raucous wasn't about Arboga. So I was just asking more about, did we in general update our the individuals that we consulted with?
I haven't this last year, but I do all the time speak to parents about the needs of their communities.
Not in a formal way, though, right? Yeah.
It's not in a formal,
Okay, so
we did that 1 year with our BOGA, and we had the community and the parents come. We have not done that since probably that year.
Yeah, they have serious issues out there that they wanted to discuss with us, with the traffic and...
Okay, so that's the consultation. Okay, so yeah, so I just want to make sure that if we're making massive changes to the bus routes, that we should have consultation and then document that on the consultation section, because we don't want a repeat of last year where parents are showing up saying, hey, nobody asked us when they moved routes.
At the beginning of this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beginning of this year.
What's the cost of a new bus, a large bus? Just curious.
I don't know off the top of my head because it's been a few years since we purchased one, but when I first started, they were $165,000. I believe they're at least $100,000 more than that now.
Yeah, thank you.
With a small bus, we bought a couple small buses this last summer, and when I first started, they were like $65,000. And now they're double that.
Jeez, thank you.
Since Frank asked the question, with the revisions of the air quality rules for vehicles, are we looking at, is there any potential where the diesel engine manufacturers are going to come back to the California market?
Well, talking to the salesmen, they kind of have. They have built some diesel engines that can now meet the new standards, and they can still sell the old engine, the previous standard. So they kind of have come back.
So because we rushed to hedge, I think 2 buses, right?
We bought 4 big
4
buses,
buses, yeah.
that year.
Is the prices have gone down, or did we make a good decision on those 4 buses? I know that at the time, the diesel engine manufacturers pulled out of California, so I understand that part of it. With them coming back, has the cost of the bus gone down, or is it?
I seriously doubt the costs have gone down. I haven't talked to any salesmen about the big buses. Since we bought those 4, I feel like we have plenty in our fleet, and the ages as well on the big bus side. So I haven't hit up any salesmen on it. But I seriously doubt that they've gone down. I'm sure they've gone up.
Any additional questions for Mr. Taylor? Gentlemen, this is a actionable item, so 19.1, approval of the 2025-26 Transportation Services Plan for Marysville Joint Unified School District. I need a motion to approve. Motion to approve. We have a motion to approve on the floor from Mr. Crawford. Do I have a second? Oliver Taylor. All in favor? Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Taylor. It's approved. 7-0.
Thank you.
The board will now reconvene back to closed session.
Yuba-Sutter.LIVE's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
In Yuba County, there's a legendary diner.
Oh, it looks delicious. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Where the parking lot tells a story. A story as simple as biscuits and gravy.
The food is good. The prices are wonderful. My dad has so many friends here that come here, and it's my dad and mom have known Mary Jane and her dad before Duke.
Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, home of legendary chili, holiday pies, and generations of local residents preparing tasty, hearty food for generations of local people. Join Mary Jane and her genial associates as they serve meals you'll come back for. Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, Olivehurst.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. It's the truth that comes through.